Hi everyone, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to today's session. If you're on the call, please go ahead to drop a reminder on the Discord group or WhatsApp group so that the others know that we are live and they can join the call. We already have your instructor on the call. Um, Her name is Hope Philip. She's a front end engineer at Husky and she is from Nigeria. She's based in Lagos, Nigeria. So thank you, Hope, for coming on this call. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, Amaka.
Okay, hi, Hope. Good evening.
Good
So
evening.
thank you for coming on this call. Thank you for giving back to the society. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank
All right, so that I don't take much time, you can go ahead and start your class. I will just be in the background. Thank you.
you. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you guys are. Okay. Today I will be taking us on JavaScript for React. I'm sure most of us must have heard of JavaScript and what JavaScript is about. And before you become a React developer or you start coding with React or you start building web applications with React, you have to know the foundation, and the foundation is JavaScript. So you can't write React without JavaScript. You have to understand JavaScript. You have to be able to solve problems with JavaScript. And yeah, I'm going to be taking us on a brief introduction on JavaScript, what it's like, the array method, the data types, and the likes. Okay, I'll start by introducing what JavaScript is. JavaScript is a scripting language that runs on your browser. It makes your web page interactive and dynamic. If you go to a website that is just static and maybe you just write your HTML and your CSS code, there is no action, it's not doing anything. But when you go to web pages like let's say Netflix, for example, you can see that you can perform some actions, or you go to some websites where you see some videos are playing and there are some actions that are being carried out when you go to that particular web page. JavaScript handles those things. So JavaScript basically makes your website or your web pages interactive, makes you perform different actions. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to enter screen. Okay, I just finished introducing what JavaScript means, and yeah, with JavaScript you can do a lot more, and you can build web applications, you can make it interactive, you can build games, you can do anything. And with JavaScript you can go ahead to build your mobile applications with React, that's React Native and the like. There are just a lot of things, but this is just the foundation of JavaScript. These are the things you would need in order to become a better developer, a better front-end engineer. Okay, I'm going to start with data types. Okay, um, okay, yeah, I think this is good. Okay, I think this is good here. So I'm going to start with
I
data types.
hope, sorry
Can
to cut short, but can you zoom in a bit? Thank you.
okay, is this
Okay.
better, guys?
Yes, this is much better. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to start with data types. So with JavaScript, JavaScript has a lot of data types. Okay, I think I'll be updating this as I proceed. So JavaScript has a lot of data types like we have strings, we have boolean, we have numbers, we have undefined, we have null. There are other data types, but these are like the primitive data types that we would use, that mostly used within whenever you're working with JavaScript. Like you can't you can these are the major data types you will use whenever you are writing JavaScript. So I think we'll start with strings, like I mentioned, string, boolean, number, undefined, and null. So basically, um, with okay, I'll just start by introducing what string is. String is anything that is surrounded by quotes. Let me give an example. So this is a string. A string is basically anything surrounded by quotes. Can be a single quote or it can be a double quote, but strings are basically anything on your keyboard that's on your keyboard, and whenever you use them, you have to add you have to add the single quote or you have to add the backtick, any one of them. Booleans are basically true or false. So they are either true or false. So that's how to use Boolean data type. Then number is anything, whether it is an integer or a decimal. So numbers can be 1.2, numbers can be all an integer like 500 or the likes like that. Undefined is a type, but it is also the only value that can be used within that type, in the sense that, okay, undefined are basically values that let's say you are trying to declare a variable, and you don't it has nothing, or it doesn't have a value. Undefined can be used as a data type that doesn't have a value. I'm going to also explain what null means. Null is also the same as undefined. They don't have any value to it. But the difference between null and undefined is that null explicitly sets that there is nothing, like it is actually empty, nothing, and it is not a value, it is nothing. But undefined is when you haven't assigned it to a value, like it is empty but there is nothing assigned to it. But no, you can't even assign, like it is empty, nothing is being you can't it is declared empty, nothing can be done about it. It's explicitly set as nothing. um I think we are good on that. I would show you different ways that we would use this. Sorry, I'll show you different ways by which we would use this data type. So I'm going to start now with variables. Okay. Okay. Variables are basically variables are used in order to how do I explain this now? Variables are set of boxes that can be used um to store data. That's these data types that we talked about right now. So let's say we want to like store data, like a group of, let's just say, want to save people's name, want to save people's data, text and boolean values like that. These data types that I talked about here. So let's now variables are what we use to store these data types. Let me start by storing a string. So let's do, we have to, before I start storing it, sorry, before I start storing it, we have in modern JavaScript, um, we have two variables that are being used to store data in modern JavaScript right now, which is the let and const. Sorry, let me do that here. Let and const. So, like I said, let is used to describe block scope local variables. Block scope local variables in the sense that you can store data using let. You can use let to store data, and it can be updated within the scope. Let's give an example. Let name equal, or no, sorry, name equals hope. Yeah, so hope is a string, and we just stored hope to be used here. So if you want to know what um this name is, this variable, the value of this particular variable, you can get that by doing console.log name. Let's try to run that. Hold on. Sorry. Let's run that again. So you see that. So name is stored. Hope is being saved as this variable, and we can update. Hope is being saved in this particular variable, and it can be updated. We can decide to just change it here as name is equal to John. Then if we save this, let me clear. Okay, cool. We see that we just updated this particular variable. And the other one, which is const is also a blocked scoped variable. It's also a blocked scope. It's also declared as blocked scoped, but it is a constant. You can't update these values. You see the way I updated name, we can't update const. So let's just show you how it works. So we have const person equal to, sorry, equal IO. Um, okay, console the log person. Let's clear this and run it. So you can see that we have um, the value of person to be this, but we can't update this value because we declared it as a constant. So const basically means constant, and you can't update we can't update the value of a constant. You can only update the value of the let variable. I don't know if I'm clear. Amaka, are you here? Okay, I'll just continue with that. So I think we are good on let, and we are also good on const. Okay, I would clear this now. So the next one will be operators. Let me clear the console. Operators are symbols or keyboards that used that are used to perform operations within your web applications. If you go to some websites, maybe you are trying to build a calculator, you see the way the calculator works, whereby you perform actions like you are multiplying, you are adding, you are adding, you are multiplying, you are dividing, you are just performing operations, or you are just trying to do some calculations like that. So the operators basically include, we have, okay, let me do this. We have different types of operators. We have the arithmetic, we have the assignment, and then we have the comparison, and the logical operators. Okay, let me clear this and run this again. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with the arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operators basically includes the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the likes. And I'm sure we all know how to perform these kind of actions, like when we had 2 plus 2, just like that. And now I'm going to now use the variables to perform these operations and just show you how it works. So let's say let p equals to 3, let q equals to 5. So we can do console the log p plus q. Okay, let's run this. So you can see that we just performed this operation. We can also do the same with multiply, and just run this. That's 3 times 5. We have 15. Let's update this to 4 and 2. You can do slash. So let's clear this and run it again. So yeah, we just performed different arithmetic operations. That's like the plus, minus. Let me just do this: plus, minus, and divide. We have other arithmetic operations that we can carry out, like the modulus and the likes. Okay, I would go ahead with the assignment operators. Okay, we have the, let me do this. We have the assigned value, add, I'm coming, minus this, this. Okay, for assignment operators, they are basically used to perform assignments, like the name include. Like for this assignment, let me clear this. For assignment operators, we saw the way we assigned this value to this variable. So that is, we just performed an assignment like from the beginning by assigning a variable to a value. And you can do other assignments like um, adding and assigning, just like we have here. So let's say we have, let me just do this, um, plus, and so we are actually assigning and adding this value to it. Hold on. No. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen again. I think my network. Okay. Um. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Let's x. Yeah. So we do x equal to this. Okay. Okay. Um. So for this one, we are actually, let me wrap this in a bracket so we don't get confused. So we didn't assign x to a value. We didn't assign x to a value, but we are trying to add and also assign x to the value of um this value here, and we'll add and assign it to this value here, to this 4 here. So basically what we are trying to do is that p, okay, is equal to 4, but we are also trying to add 4 to it. We are also trying to add a new value to the existing value that we have here, and just then would now assign it to this
Hi,
particular one
Hope.
that have a value. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
Oh, I thought I was sharing. Let me share again.
Um. Okay.
Can you see my screen now?
Um. Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay, okay. I was saying that, okay, we didn't assign x to a value. So x is without a value. And now we are trying to now assign x to something. Do you understand? We're trying to assign x to a value, but now we are trying to add and also assign it to this x without a value. I don't know if okay, let me just continue. I'm just trying to assign x to this particular to a value. So I'm adding p. P is already set to have a value of 4, and then we are trying to add and also assign the value of p to x. So p is 4. We are adding it to 4, and we are adding and also making sure that okay, it is assigned, and it's also adding up with what we with the value here, which is 4. So that's why we have 8 here. We can do the same with minus, and we are also going to be subtracting and assigning. So if we do this, let me clear. So it is 0. So that's 4 4 minus, that's we are subtracting and also assigning. So 4 minus 4, which is the value of this x. So if we come here, okay, I wanted to do this. Let me do this here. So for multiplying, let's do this. So now we are going to see this value here, that's 4. So okay, let me clear and comment this out. Yeah, save. Yeah, so we have this value here, which is 4, and we are adding, and also we are not adding, we are multiplying and assigning it to this value here, which is this. I hope I'm clear. Okay. Yeah, so that's for assignment. So that we can actually assign a value, we can add and assign, we can subtract and assign, and we can multiply and assign. For comparison, which is also an operator, comparison basically include strict equal to, and then strict equal to, not equal to, and strict not equal to, strict equal to, not equal to, and not strictly equal to. Then we also have, I think, greater than, and then and less than. Okay, I would explain all this. So you see the way we assigned p to 4. Let me take this out. You see the way we assign p to 4, we assign that value of 4 to p. um there are other ways to set that, oh, let's assign this to a value. So this is just us declaring this value to this variable. But if we are trying to like set it, like let it be equal to, let me take example now. We have, let q no, sorry, let's use q2. Let's q equal to string of 4. So 4 is a number, this is a string, like I explained when I talked about data types. So now we are going to now see if this is strictly, or if this is equal to this, if this value is the same as this. Yes, we have the same 4, but this is a number, this particular data type of this p. We can actually do this. Let's see, console.log type of p. Let me clear this. So you see, this is a number because it doesn't have the string, that's the quote with it. But if we try to do type of q, you would see that this is a string. Let me clear. Yeah, it's a string. So that's the difference between this particular data type and this other one. But now, if we want to now compare these values, though they are both 4, but we want to compare to know if, or we don't, let's say we don't even know the difference between, we don't know the difference between the two data type. We want to now compare if this is equal to this. So this is when you now use this particular one to compare the value, to compare it. So console.log p equal to q. Sorry, q. Let's take this out. Clear, and let's run it. So you can see this these values are the same thing. We have 4, but if you want to strictly now test, you want to strictly now compare this value to know if both of them, compare the both data types, you can now use the strictly equal to. The strictly equal to is to basically do a deeper check, in the sense, check if they have the same data type, check if they are they are really the same thing in everything, data type, in basically everything. So let's just try and check that. Let me see, let me clear and save it. So this is returned as false because um 4 is a number, and p is a number, q is a string. I hope I'm clear. Yeah, so P is a number and Q is a string. And that's us now strictly checking for the data type. The other one is just to just check, oh, we are not making it, we are not like doing a deeper check. We are just trying to compare. Oh, they are both 4, 4. Okay, they are actually the same thing. But we want to strictly check if they have the same data type. There is no restriction. There's nothing different between both of them. We use the strict equal to. Um, we also have the not equal to. The not equal to, let's do this. The not equal to is for us to now check if this and this are the same thing. We are just checking. This one is just us checking if okay, the value of P and Q, are they the same thing? Is returned as false. If we now try to make a deeper check to compare, let's clear and run this again. True. So do you know why these two passed as true? The reason why these two passed as true and instead of the other one, this one, um, hold on. Okay. Um, wait. Oh, I think I was mistaken. We don't have anything like this. So we have just, I was just trying to rush up. So we have just strictly equal to, and this strictly equal to here is just basically to check with the both type. So this is strictly checking or this is sorry, this is strictly comparing both value, and this is false because they are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. So I don't know if I'm clear on that. Yeah, so greater than and less than, everybody knows that. So let's update this value to 9. Is P greater than Q? Obviously, Q is greater than P. That's why the value is false. Is P less than Q? That's true. Let's save. Yeah, so we are done with the operators. Okay, we have the logical operators. Logical operators include I think we have the and. Sorry, we have the and. We have not. Sorry, let me clear this. Can you guys see my screen? Can you
Hi,
guys see my?
Hope.
Can you see my
No, your
screen?
screen went off. I think you disconnected.
Okay, I'm trying to. Let me do it again.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
Okay, we can see your screen now.
is it better now?
Just zoom in a bit. Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Um. So for logical operators, we have and um we are going to I'm going to, well, I think when I get to template literals and objects, I'm going to explain, you will understand better what the logical operators are. We have and, we have not, and I think we have I think, yeah, let me just stop there. I can't really remember. I think back to, no, dots. Yeah, dots. Yeah. So for logical operators, we have and this. So and is how do I explain and now? So when we are trying to when we are trying to add or maybe do some comparison in the sense that we are trying to see. Let me do this. Let's say P is true Hold on.
Hi,
And
Hope. We can hear you.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm trying to switch my network. Okay. Um, false. Okay. If I'm trying to look for a simple comparison, if um P and Q so the log um valid or something. Let me try this. Okay. Mm, okay. I'm looking for a better. I'm thinking of a better. I'm thinking of a faster. Hmm. Okay. Okay. If x greater than if p okay, let's set the value to 5, if p is greater than 10 and q 9. Okay, and if p is greater than 10 and q is greater than 15. So now, yeah, what we're trying to do now is that I'm just thinking of a very simple way so that even beginners can understand this. So if p is greater than 10, so we know p, the value of p is, and the value of q is also 9. So if q is greater than 10 and sorry, q is greater than 15, console the log valid. Okay, hold on. Else console the log valid. I don't know. Let's check. I don't know. Mm, hold on. Let me try this and let me try this. I don't know. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. I was thinking of a more logical way. P. Let me do this. Okay. Um. Okay. 10. Okay. Let's run this.
Hello, Hope. Can you hear me? Hello, Hope. Can you hear me? Okay. I believe our instructor is having a bit of network issue. She should be back shortly. Let us give her 2 minutes to join back on the call. While we're at that, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat and she'll pick it up when she's back. Thank you. Oh, okay. She's yet to join back in, guys. So let's just still hold on. She'll be back. Okay, she's back now. Hi, Hope. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sorry, my network is crazy.
All right. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay. So you can go on. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, better. Because I was wondering why. So now we are trying to compare between this value and this. So if P is set to 5, the value of P is 5, the value of Q is 9. So now we are trying to see this value and this value, are they the same thing? And this. So is P greater than 10? True. P is P greater than 10? No, sorry, that's not true. Is Q greater than 1? True. So now combining the both of them, are they both true? No. So that's why this is set to false. Now if P is less than 5 and P and Q is also less than 10, you will see the value is, wait, let's clear. The value is set to true because P is actually set to, P is, the value of P is 5 and it is less than 10. The value of Q is 9 and is less than, and is less than and is less than 10 and is less than 10 and is less than 10. Okay. Now let's do is equal. Let's do or. I think the next one is or, sorry. Or. Yeah. So now all is like we comparing both of them. Are we okay? At least one of them has to be true. We are not, so this other one is certain that we are comparing the both of them. Two of them has to be the same thing. But or one has to be the same thing. So this stands for and, this stands for or. Yeah, and this is not. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, my network is crazy. Okay, yeah, so we've just tested with and or. So for not, let's do this. So we have this value set to P is, the value of P is 5, the value of Q is 9. So now we are going to do, so X, sorry, P, I don't know why I keep saying X. P, is P equal to Q? So I said Q, yeah. Is P strictly equal to Q? Or let's say, let's do this. Is P equal to Q? No, because they are not the same thing. But now let's get it. That's why the value is set to false. So now let's get the opposite of false. To get the opposite of false, we have to use the not. So let's do not. Yeah. So P is not equal to this. Hold on. Or let's do this. P equal to, the value of this is set to false, right? Now let's negate this. To negate this value is by using this not. So let's compare this. Let's do this and get this. You will see that the value will be set to true. We are trying to negate this one inside here. The value is set to false, and now this is actually negating this value of this. We are getting the opposite of this, which is true. Whew, I hope I am clear on that. Okay. The next one I will be touching now would be functions. Let me do this. Let's try to give it space so we can. Yeah. Okay. Now we are dealing with functions. Um, function. Okay. Functions are blocks of code that are designed to perform an action. You saw the way we've been carrying out action using console.logs and all that. We are adding, we are subtracting, and all that. But functions, we can have a block of code that is performing an action, have different blocks, so everything is not scattered and all that. So it's just blocks of code that are designed to perform a particular task. Let's continue using P and Q. So I said let's P equal to 5, let Q equal to 6. Yeah. So now we want to have a function that the function is basically to multiply values. It's just basically to multiply values. We can do things like function to multiply. Um, return P plus Q. Okay. Now let's console the log the value. Let's try to call this function, and this function is basically whenever we call this function, the function would just carry out this action. This function cannot do anything other than returning the value of P. Sorry, I said multiply. Cannot do anything other than multiplying the value of P and Q. If you want a function to add, you create a new function called function to add, and this would be to add values. So now for us to now call a function, because functions will not evoke by itself, you have to evoke it, and to evoke a function is by actually calling it out like this. So to evoke this function now, you have to call out this function, and if you don't add this parenthesis, this bracket here, you are not going to do anything. Let me clear this. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to return that same function back to you. But for you to return the actual value, you have to evoke it. And by evoking it is by adding this to it. So once you do this, it will multiply this. Let me clear. So okay, cool. It ran. So now we have P, that's we've gotten the value of that's this multiplying P and Q, that's 5 times 6, so that's 30. But for us to call this to add, let's just do this. So this would add the value of P and Q together. That is 11. um yeah, and you might feel like JavaScript is just calculations, mathematics. It is mathematics, but it is actually also not mathematics. It's just understanding how to manipulate data, how to use data in different or various ways. Yeah, so the ways I'm just using numbers here, it can be strings. So let's say we have let name equal to hope. So now let's add P, then let's add like a space and add this. That's hope this. So um oh, we don't have P again. Name. Clear. Okay, so are you saying the value of 6? The reason why I added this is just so that we can have space between this. If you don't add this space, um, if you don't add that space, it will be together. So this is just what it will look like. Let's run it. So we are adding these two values, or we are adding this string and this number together. That's why it's like this. So you can add, it doesn't have to be number, it doesn't have to be string. We are just, I'm going to get, when I explain further, you will understand why we do things like this. um Function can also be used in variables. um let's say, how do I explain this? Okay, we can access these variables outside of the function. Stuff like, let me do this let me do this, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this. Okay, function let age equal to 30. Let, okay, function function data, no, um okay, personal data. So inside, we declared this outside of this function. We can declare variables inside of functions. So let's declare country to be Nigeria, and then now I'm going to now return. I want to add the value of all of this into a sentence. I want to make it into a single string. So we can do that by doing stuff like, um, let's just declare another variable. Let x equal to, I'm using a backtick. We are now going to use this value here. So to reference a variable outside of a function, you just have to call it in this way, or you can just set x equal to name. Let's do this first. Then, okay, return x. Let's now call this function. Let me comment this out first. So let's call this, let's get the value of x, which was we gotten from this particular name that was declared outside of this function. If you don't understand, please let me know. Name, sorry, personal data. So now you see that we are calling this function and it is returning the value of x. I did not call x, but because I am returning the value of x, I set this value, I set the this variable here to be this particular name here, to the variable that was declared outside. I hope that is clear. And we can also try to um, access the variables within the function, and also the variable outside of the function. Let's do this. um, X, sorry, can do x plus this plus plus age plus, okay, I'm going to increment this, country. Clear. So now we are assessing the value or the variable that was declared inside here, that is country, and we also try to make reference to the one that was declared outside of this function, inside of the function. So you can see that we can use variables that were declared outside of a function and even the ones inside of a function. But now this is a catch. We can't access, you can't get the value of x outside here without calling this. So if you do console.log x, you would not be able to access that, because it's going to return x is not defined, because x, for you to access the value of x, you have to call this function. You can't get the value or the variables, or you can't get the value of any variable that was declared inside a function without calling the function itself. Yeah. I think we are good on that. So basically, functions are a block of code that can be used. Functions are block of code that can be used to perform a particular task or perform a particular action, and you can't, like I said, for you to execute or for you to get the value of that particular function or get or run that particular function, you have to evoke it, and evoking it is by calling this. Okay, I'm going to copy this and just paste it here. I think I would share this after. Yeah. Okay, the next slide we'll have is the template literals. Literals are modern ways to insert variables into strings. So you see that, let me bring this back. Okay, um, you see the way we had this, and we're just adding and adding extra space and extra space here. So a cleaner way or a better way to write this is by using template literals. So template literals are just ways of assigning variables into a string. So everything will come together as a string. It would now come off as if, okay, let's say we want to have something like this. Hope is a Nigerian. Hope is from Nigeria. So, sorry. So, we want to have Hope is from Nigeria. Hope is from Nigeria. So this is a string together. But now we have a variable called hope, and we have a variable called country. So how do we make this a string? So instead of us adding having it like this looks very confusing. And imagine if we have tons of data, we want to make it a string, a single string. This will be very stressful. So with template literals, the best way to do this is by using a backtick. A backtick, this is what a backtick looks like. Yeah. So for you to access this name, you have to wrap it with in a curly brace. So you do this and access this particular data here, name. Then you can now add the space just as if you are writing a normal string. Is from, then you try to access this one by using this. So country. So let me take this out and console.log this data. Let me clear this. So you see it here now. Hope is from Nigeria. If I want to add she lives in Lagos, that should just automatically be updated there. So if so this is actually better than having it in this format. So this is what template literals are just ways of inserting variables into strings, combining them. It can be number, it can be function, it can be anything basically, just combining it to make a string. And it is just a cleaner way of adding data instead of doing it this way. Okay. I'm going to also still copy this and paste it here. Oh, sorry. So template literals. Okay. And like I said, let me just do this. Modern way of inserting variables in, into strings. Yeah. So this is an example of how to do that. Okay, the next one we'll go into is arrays and objects. I'll clear this. Arrays and objects. I think I'll be starting with objects because let's start with objects first. So, okay, this is a very broad topic. So, objects. Objects are objects are ways to group data together. Data like declaring variables. So before now we had let me copy this one that I did here. We have this, and we also add this. So imagine, yeah. Okay, let me just bring up this just so I let everyone know about this. So if you notice that when I was declaring strings, I'm adding this to it, this colon to it. This is called terminators. They are basically used to finish up a line so we don't get confused or it doesn't just get mashed up together. Let me just put this here. Yeah. So this is called terminators, and it is used to finish a line. Yeah, so okay, let's go back to objects. So, okay, like I was saying, objects are ways to group data together. We had all of this, and we can have different data like state of origin, local government, color, best food, just different data. And just different data. Or we can also have let is student. Let's use this. Okay, true. So it's up a student. Yeah. So we can, instead of listing all these things, we can have we can have an object that basically store this data together. So whenever you call that object, you get the value of everything you have here. And this is how to do it. Let's say we have const user equal to this, and we have name set to the value, age set to the value, country set to the value, student set to the value. Let me see this. Yeah. So now, instead of having all of this, and when you want to now use them, you start calling name, you start using them like this. But they are just, this is just a cleaner way of storing all this data together and storing it. We are storing this data into an object just so that we can always make reference to this. If you want to get OPS data, you just know that, oh, you are calling user and you get every information about hope. So I'm going to take this out, and now if you want to now access hope's name, let's say you want to get the value of, you want to get hope's name, or you want to get my this user's name, basically you can just do const user, sorry, console the log equal to person. I said person, I keep these different things in my head. User dot name. Yeah, I guess that works. Clear? Yeah. If you want to get user age, this. And I think there's another way of also getting that data. If you want to get this, you can just do age. You will get that data. If you want to get a student, or you want to get, let's do country. We've not played with country yet. You get the value there. If you want to get a student, you get the value of that there. So this is just a cleaner way of storing data. You don't have it scattered, and you just know that, oh, user has every information about that particular data you stored. And you can decide to update every properties in this object. Let's say we want to add um food, or no, color. Let's do color. So let's do this. So to add, we just do user dot color, or let's do best color. Let's set this to black. So let's save this. So you see this is updated here. You've added this. If you want to add other things like user dot um occupation, teacher, that will be added. Let's clear this. Okay, cool. So this is how to add into an object, and this is a cleaner way instead of us declaring variables upon variables just to store this data inside an instead of us declaring different variables and just like that, but we can actually store this data inside here. And then now that we have this, if you do console.log, okay, yeah, we did console.log and we got all the values of this user. um yeah, there are other things we can do with objects. I think we can also delete um properties. Now let me just try to do this here. Let's add this. Mm, okay, okay, let's see. Yeah, so for us, let's say we want to delete, let's delete best color. So for us to delete this, it's just very simple, and you just provide delete. You just write delete user dot best color. So now if we do this, you see that we don't have best color there because we just wrote this delete function. This delete function is an array, is sorry, I said array, is a JavaScript property that is used to um items from an object, or properties from an object. Yeah, properties from an object. Yeah, so you can use this to take out. So I've just showed how to add. Okay, let me do this. To delete properties from an object. um user dot let's still use this, equal to teacher. Okay, cool. So this would be to add property, to add um an extra property to an object. Okay. um Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, so cool. So we've added this and we deleted best color. You can see we have this, and we no longer have the best color to it. um can you access a data, or can you access a property that doesn't exist here? Let's try to do that. Let's try to access something that is not there. Let's do console.log user dot animal is going to return undefined. So you get undefined because that property does not exist inside the object. Let me do this. Would return um, undefined because animal does not exist within the object. Yeah. So um, let me do this. Yeah. Okay. So we have this now. Okay. Whew. Okay, another thing we can do with objects, another thing we can do with objects is to reassign the content of um or we can reassign content of a property. So mm, this is a variable. With the way we declared that variable, let name and all that, but this is a property now within an object now. So now, can we update a property within an object? That's another thing we can do with objects. So now you can reassign this. You can do user the way we did the way we added here, or we updated this value. We updated, okay, let's try to do user. That one was just the user dot name equal to fate console.log user. So now we are able to reassign the value or a property. We are able to reassign the value of name within this object to this. But do you know that you can't reassign the entire object? Let's do this. Let me show you guys. Let's say we have user equal to an empty object. An empty object is an object that doesn't have any properties. The reason why we can't assign this is because we can't assign it to a constant variable. Remember what I said here when we were talking about variables, that let can be updated, while constants can't be updated because they are constant variable, they are static, they can't do anything about it. So because we use const here, so that's why we can't do anything. That's why we can't update, or we can't reassign this value of the value of this object. We can't reassign this value of user to an empty object. But let's say we use let me clear this. So because we use let would work, because let allows us to um allows us to update variables, like allows us to update like their values. So now the value of this was originally this, but we just updated this value to an empty object here. So let allows us to do that, but const can't. But the only thing we can do with const is we can do with both let and const for objects is that we can update every property, or each and every property within that particular object. What other things can we do with? We can also call a function. I think we can call a function inside of an object. Let's try to do that. Um, let's try to do that now. Let's comment this out. How do I do this now? So we have this. We have this. Let's do um, user dot greet. Remember how we created functions here? Yeah. So let's set this to user that is equals to function. Hmm. And now we'll do return. Let's use the template literal. Hello, hello. Um, Now we do dollar this user dot name. Now, so let me clear this. Mm, hold on. Can you guys hear me? I hope it's on my network. Hold on. Just need to check this. I think it's my network. Okay, okay,
Second.
okay. Let me do this first. User dot greet. Okay, that's my network. Okay, cool. Can you guys see the function here? We have this function. We added this function, and this function has been added into this particular object here. We've added this function to it. So we have this function greet. We have this greet added to it, and it's to do this. So for us to now get, let's say we want to now see what greet is. Let's see if that function would run. Um, let's instead of using return, let's use console here because we are trying to work with consoles a lot more. Yeah. Okay. So now let's do user dot greet. I think this should work. Yeah, clear. So let's see, clear. And then, yeah. Okay, we have faith because okay, this was we assigned here. Let me do this. Wondering why we have that. Let's use this up here. Okay, we have this. I'm going to figure out why we are getting this undefined, but yeah, we were able to call this hello. Um, hello. We reference this name from here. That's hope. That's yeah. We're able to do this. So we got hello slash hope. Um, there are a lot of things we can also still do with objects, but for now, I think I'll be touching just this for today. Let me cut this and add it here, and add objects here, and add that I said um ob- okay are ways to group data together. Okay. Okay. Um the next one we'll be touching now is arrays. Cool. Array is an object type. That's why I decided to do objects first before arrays. So an array is an object type that is used to store data collection. Thinking of a better way. Okay, it's a special variable that can be used to hold multiple values together. Yeah, so we can use array is basically used to hold different data together. Um, just the way we use it, just like it has a different structure than that of React. But arrays are also under object. Arrays are object type. So there are different types of array. There are different um types of objects. There are different ways we can use objects, like objects are different types basically. So an array is an object type. I hope I explained that well. But I think along the way we'll understand why arrays are object types. Okay, let's give an example of what an array looks like. Const, let's use six. That's like a more common apple, mango, and pineapple. Okay, so you know see that all these are strings. We can also add numbers. We can decide to add boolean values. You can decide to use undefined. You can decide to use null. So clear. Okay. So arrays basically hold data together. So this is the structure of what an array looks like. It's an object type, just the way we have the difference between an object. Let me bring this back. Yeah. So this is an object and this is an array. Let me do this. Array and yeah, object. So the difference between an array and an object is that object has key and values. So with an object you can identify every item in an every property or every item in an object with a key and a value. So the key of this particular value is name, the key of this particular value here is age. But with this, you just outrightly define different data and just store them together without assigning them key and a value. I hope I'm clear on that. And there are different ways we can access array data. Um, First, so let's say we want to access this particular data, or let's say we want to access this one. So with JavaScript starts counting their data with zeros. Basically they start counting everything or anything with zero and start from zero. So you can have a long list of data, or we can have, or we want to get let how do I even explain this? We have different data now, and you want to start identifying it, like, okay, we have the index of this, index of that, or this, or at least want to get, oh, what number does this particular item fall into, or what item does this particular data fall into. So it always starts from zero. So let's say we want to access the value of mango, so we'll start with 0, 1, 2. So for us to get the value of pineapple, or the index of pineapple, const um sorry console.log fruit, um no, 0, 1, 2. So 2 is the index of this particular array. So let's get the value of this. Console.log this. So let's save. Okay, make my network. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Oh, the typo. So now we've gotten the value of this particular index. If we do 0 and then we save, we get the value, or we get the value of this particular index. Yeah, there are just different things we can do with array. We have different array methods. There are a lot, like, there are a lot. And the thing with arrays is that every day, or every, I don't know, there's always a new trend. There's just always a better way of solving problems with arrays. But I'm going to talk about the most common ones, and they are about six. They are about five or six. I think I'll just talk about six today. um Array method. Okay, let me still take this out. So the first one I'll be talking about today would be um the push. So this uh, This means, so I think, okay, this array method push means for us to add to the end of an array. So let's say we want to update, then let me still take, let me bring this forward. Let me bring this forward. Yeah. So we have this fruit, list of fruits. Let's say we want to update this array now and want to add something to this array, this list of data. This, yeah, want to add to it. We can just do um fruits dot push. Let's add mango. Oh, we already have mango. Let's add grape. And now let's do console.log fruits. Clear. Oh, this was already declared here. Okay, I'll just take this. So you see that we've been able to add to this array method push allows us to add to the end of an array. So we were able to add grape to this array here, and that's the first one. The next one will be that's to add to the end of an array. I would, yeah, I would comment this, and yeah, okay. The second one would be to pop. Pops Pop allows us to remove from the end. You know the way we added grape to the end to the we added grape to the end of the array. Pop also allows us to remove from the end of an array. To remove from the end of an array. Um so let's try to do this. So with pop, you don't have to add you don't have to add you don't have to add anything. You just know that okay, you are removing from the last item from that array. There's an array method that is used to also remove from a particular index. I don't know if I will touch that today, but yeah. But there are different array method, like I mentioned, but I'm just going to talk about the first six, which is first one is push to add to the end. Second one now is pop for us to take out from the last remove from the last element from the last remove the last item from the array. Remove the last item from from an array. Add, okay, to the end of an array. Add to the Okay, to the end of an array. Yeah. I think that's that. You can see that. That's okay. Let me still add here. So let me clear this and run this again. Mm. Okay, cool. You saw that we just added this, so we called this added grape to the end of the array. So now let's call pop. Let's see. So now pop removed the last item from this array. Now we no longer have grape because now we just popped fruit. Okay, yeah. Let's remove this. Okay, I think the next one I'll be talking about is on shift. Okay. Okay. On shift adds to the beginning of the fruit or the beginning of the array. So, like I said, push add to the end. Pop helps us remove from the end too. That's the last item from the array. Push push basically adds to the end of the array, like updates the array from wherever it stops. Just add a new one. While pop picks up the last item from that array and removes it. But on shift now adds to the beginning of the array. So let's do this. Fruit dot on shift. Let's add what other fruit? Guava, console.log fruit. So now we just updated this. We no longer have grape because we removed it from here. We called this and this removed it. But on shift now adds to this array and now we have grape here. And now we have guava. Sorry, we have guava in the beginning. That's now the first item. If you try to do this, zero now. You would see that the first item on that array is guava instead of it to be apple because we just added to the beginning of it. Um okay, now the next thing we'll be talking about today will be shift. I think shift also helps us to remove items from the beginning of an array. Removes item from the beginning of an array. Let's take this. So now, let's do this. Yeah. So now we added on shift is to add. Please let's take note of this. On shift is to add. Push is to add to the end. Pop is to remove from the end. Shift is to add at the beginning, while shift is now to remove from the beginning. So now we added shift. Let me remove this. Now let's save. The first item is still guava. Let me do this. Fruits. So now, mm, um, let's do this. So we don't get confused. Okay. Okay, now, the first item in this array is guava, and this is the array we have here. So now let's find a way to take out guava from this array. So if we uncomment this now and we remove from this array now, you would see that the next thing we have is apple, the first item. So now this is what happened now. Before now we added guava and that's why the array now had guava and the first item in that array is guava. So now we now took out guava and now we now got the array is now updated to what we had in the beginning because we did not have guava then. So now we've been able to take out guava and the first item is now apple. So that's why when we console this we saw that the first item in the array is apple. I think that's that. um okay, this is the fourth one. Yeah. Yeah, so I think let's go with the fifth one because of time. The fifth one would be includes. Let's do work with includes. Okay, include basically helps us to check if an item exists within an array. Um, if an item exists within an array. Okay. Um, Now we have okay. This was the list. This is the list of array we have here. So now let's check if let me bring out this console here, and yeah, we don't need this. So now let's see if um dot include. Let's see if apple exists within, or no. Let's start. Okay, let's use apple first. So let's see if apple exists within. Yeah, let's see if apple exists within um the array. So apple actually does exist within the array. So this is the array here. So apple exists. But let's check if guava exists within the array. Because apple no longer exists here to be false. Yeah. So basically that include just helps us to check within the array, goes through every item within the array and just check if the item actually exists within the array. Um I think the next one I'll be touching now. Which one should I touch now? Um, the next one I'll be touching now will be okay. Let me touch index index of index of okay index of helps us to find the position of an item within the array. Yeah, helps us find the position of an item in an array. So let's say we had this array. Let's console.log fruits again. Console.log fruits. So we have this. Now want to find, like I said, JavaScript starts from zero. So want to find, oh, let's say we have over 100 items within this array, but want to find where a particular item is within the array. Let's say want to find, I think let's work with pineapple now. Let's say want to find the index of pineapple. So this is how we do it. We get fruit dot index of, please take note of the camel case. Yeah. Um yeah, take note of this. This is how we write it. In JavaScript we use camel casing. Yeah. So fruit in the fruit dot index of, then you paste the string there. Yeah. So mm, that's two. So you can see 0, 1, 2. We've gotten the index. Let's say we want to get the index of undefined. So undefined is not a string. Whenever you are looking for anything, or whenever you are trying to perform any action, and you have to use the particular, you have to use it the same way it is in the array. Let's say I want to find undefined. I can't put undefined here because it is not even in that array. It will return -1. It is not in that array at all. It doesn't exist. But for you to get the particular one, you have to the exact way it is in that array. So that is 5. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the correct um position of that value. That's the undefined. Okay, I think I'll stop there because of time. Let me copy this and just paste it here. And like I said, array is okay. Let me write what I said about that. No, okay. As special variables that can hold multiple value or data in a single place. Um, it it doesn't have to have the it doesn't okay it doesn't need to have the key and value like objects. Yeah. So I think we are good on that. And the next thing I'll be talking about now is the structuring. Okay, I'm going to make reference to our template literals. Just the way I mentioned, I said template literals are ways of inserting variables into strings. And I showed how we use this template, how we use this backtick, and now to structure this data and put it in this way for us to for we are actually using the variables and making it into strings, and they are very easy combining these variables together to form a string. But the structuring, if you want to be a React developer, you do a lot of the structuring of data. That's because you are going to have data coming in from your um let's say you're getting data coming in from your parent, and you're on your child component, and you have to destructure the data to use it in a certain way. But I'm going to start now to explain how to destructure data. Okay, to start with this, I just wanted to touch template literals again. The structuring data is a way of unpacking values from an array or object into individual variables. Instead of manually accessing data, just the way we add this, let me come back here. Just the way we had this, and you want to access um the index, or you want to get the you want to let's say you want to get the index of mango, or yeah, you want to get the 0, 1, yeah, 1, clear. So yeah, so the index 1 will give us the value of mango. So instead of us always doing this, let's say you want to also get um 0, 1, 2, 3, want to get this value of 3. Instead of you doing this and looking for the particular one and just doing that, so we can actually access when whatever data we need from this array without having to do all these calculations and trying to count or get their particular index and trying to locate them this way. We can destructure data by grabbing them at once. Okay, I'll start with arrays. Let me instead, should I use this? Let me use colors instead. red, blue, um, and green. Okay, now for us to access, let me clear this. For us to access all this data without having to start saying colors and trying to get the index of that, we can just do let, because we know it's an array and we know that the array has three values there. Let's just do array of let a, b, and c equal to these colors. Let equal to these colors. Let me clear this. Equal to these colors now. Now, let's use the template literals and let's make this a sentence. So now, let's do console, or sorry, let's do list, or const list of colors will be equal to this template literals. We will do um these are the colors available, and we do um the template, we are using the template literals that we said. So now, instead of us now doing, coming here to start doing, oh, colors, and we start counting this, no, we can just easily access it by doing, because this will just easily identify the position of where that particular color or where that particular index is based off of this array. So we just look a comma b and c. Now console.log, let's clear this list of colors. Oh, sorry, I didn't add this. So if you need to be very careful. If you don't add this, it will come out this way. So this is it now. So these are the colors available. So you see, this is a cleaner way of accessing this data within this array, and we still use the template literals. We still use, so you see how JavaScript works. Everything it spoke about from the beginning, declaring the values using const and let, using const and let, this is how we use them in the long run. We just get better, we just keep growing and getting better with how we use all these things I talked about. So now, for list of colors, you now see that we use the same template literals, and now we are able to destructure this data from this array and use them within a template literal. And now this is what the result would look like. Now we are now using the values from the array in a string and making it into a sentence, just like that. So JavaScript helps us to destructure data. um I think that's us using array as an example. Let me write this: destruct data in an array. Okay, let's now work with objects now. Yeah, objects. So let's use one of the examples we had here. So we had this, we had let's user this. So now I'm also going to use a um okay, before I start using a function, let me just use this first. So now let's destructure this in such a way that we'll use it the same way we use list of colors. So now we'll destructure this, we'll do let. So we are destructuring this entire thing, and we are not destructuring the value, we are destructuring the keys. Remember I said object has keys and values. So object has key and value. So let's do this. Let's we get this name, age, country is this, and best color equal to this user. Or let's just you can just basically select, um let's just use this, something very simple. Now we've been able to get this. The reason why we are using an object here because it's an object. The reason why we use this here because it was an array data and we're just trying to easily locate every item there. So now let's do the same thing we did here. Let's use the same thing we did here. Const um user info console the log. Okay. Um okay. Let's now use this name here. Just like I said there. We use name of is from this country. So there's no need for us to start doing user dot name. This is a lot of just easily destructure it because we know that we are trying to get the value from user. That's instead of doing this user dot name, we already know that okay, user already has name, user already has country. So instead of doing that, we just basically straightforward instead of doing all these things. And if there's an update there, you can just easily update it from here. So now let's console the log user info. I think there's a console here. Let's comment this out. Hope is from Nigeria. We destructured the data coming in from here and we use that in a template literal and we are consoling it here. So that's why we have hope dot hope is from Nigeria. You can do that with functions. Um you can also rename data that has been destructured. We use name here. It's for us not to get confused. Let's say we want to update this to username. We can just easily do this and set, this means that we are renaming this particular key here or this particular thing here to a new name. We are using a new value for it to identify that particular name instead of so that we don't get confused. Can use user name. Yeah, let's do this and do this. You see we'll get the same response. Oh, sorry, I think this is code pen misbehaving. Let's not use username. Let's use um uh, let's use first name. So you see we're able to still use this data, but we now destructured it. We destructured this particular value here and gave it a new meaning or a new meaning here, just so we can use it inside of this. There are a lot of things we can also still do with JavaScript. We have the event listener, we have the class components whereby we have to understand how to use the this and all. But because of time, I think I will stop here today. If you have any question, I'm open to questions. Sorry for my network, but yeah, I'm open to questions and all. And I think I'll be ending my session. Yeah,
Oh, hi, Hope.
yeah,
I'm going to be putting the questions on the screen so that you can take them. Thank you.
okay.
So I have one there right now.
Okay. Question I have, what's the essence of the arithmetic is a substitute for anything because when you run the code it shows true or false. Yeah, basically, for the arithmetic, for the arithmetic. Yeah, so basically it's just for us to compare values. So JavaScript would let you know, okay, if this value, if this comparison we did here, did it pass? So for it to let you know if that it is what that is actually true, if that actually pass, it will tell you, okay, this is true because these two values are the same. Oh, so you're talking about um arithmetic. Yeah, so when you assign a value, or sorry, let me use this example, the add and assign. So we know we had a plus and equal to sign. Let me still share my screen so you can I can go back to that. Okay, that was, yeah, um on assignment. Yeah, so was it assignment she mentioned? Okay, I'm going to go back to, so for assignment, sorry, was it assignment or arithmetic she mentioned? Um, I just want to be clear. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I
Okay,
can hear
what
you,
is the
Hope.
essence of all the arithmetic of what is a substitute for anything, because when you run the code, it shows true or false. So yeah, let me go back and share. Let me share my screen again. So since we are talking about arithmetic, okay. Um. So yeah, for arithmetic we had this, no, arithmetic doesn't really give you true or false. Arithmetic just basically just helps us do mathematical calculations like adding, subtracting and all. If you are talking about assignment or comparison, it just basically lets you know. Comparison is the one that even gives you the true or false, because it just basically compares two values together and let you know, okay, if they're actually the same thing, and it let you know that, oh, this is true by, oh, these values are the same thing. Do you get? And if it is not the same thing, the system tells you that it is false. They are not the same thing. Do you understand? Are you there?
I
Does
believe they should. If they don't, she will drop the question or let us know. Thank you.
Okay. Console.log run a function. Don't console.log a function returning a function. The only reason why console.logging a function would return the function is if you are not invoking it. Like I said, if you don't invoke that function, it will return it the way you wrote it there. It's just basically showing you what you wrote there. But for you to run that function out, for you to carry out the operation that function is supposed to carry, you have to you have to um you have to evoke it. Yeah. Can we have access to the code pen? Yeah, sure. I'm going to share it with Amaka. She'll share it with you guys.
All right, Hope. I think that's the last question on this call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so
Yeah.
guys, if any,
So I was going to say, if anybody has any question, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Hope, and I'm very open to helping with any questions or anything regarding this.
all right, so I'll do well to drop her LinkedIn hand, a link to her LinkedIn page so that it'll be easy for you to locate her. Thank you. All right, so I think that'll be all for tonight, or morning or afternoon, guys. So bye, everyone. See you in our next class. Bye, Hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amaka.
All right.